Alright, next what we're going to do is look at our game state. So if we scroll up, we're going to find our game state. We're going to make a few changes here. What we're going to do first is up in our variables, we're going to add a constant icon called icon placeholder. And that's going to be a texture 2D. And then for right now, we're just going to preload the default icon from the little robot dude, the Godot mascot, if you will. So hopefully you guys never deleted that, because we're going to need that right there. Unexpected identifier in class body. Oh, constant. There we go. All right. Next, we're going to add a couple new variables as for the game state variables for the inventory. So inventory model variable item underscore database. That's going to be our dictionary. And for right now, we're not going to put anything in there. Alright, and so this inventory is going to hold our inventory model, right? This guy right here. And then our item, this is our item database, a dictionary that's going to store every available item by ID so that we can look them up more quickly. So what we're going to do now is we're going to add a ready function to this. I know I had you guys delete it in a previous video, but we're only adding a few lines, so it's going to be okay. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to actually create that inventory. So let's add our notes in here, or our comments rather. Minus it's equals inventory model dot new. There we go. And then we're going to add that child, and we're going to call it, or add that inventory as a child, rather, is what I meant to say. We can get rid of that right there. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to add some sample items to this, so that we don't have to do it, or so that it will, we can, when we test it, we'll know that it's working. So, or at least displaying the items, if that makes sense. So, I'm going to add the variables in while we're doing this, because I want to, that way we know we don't have to go searching for which one's the potion, which one's not. Everything's just right there. So, inventory item dot new. So the first, I'm going to add a potion. I'll probably add an ether and then the sword, bronze sword that we had in the little like preview in the last video. So let's see, potion ID. This is going to be a potion small, and then potion, whoops, dot display name. So this is going to be what it's going to be displayed as. I forgot the quotation marks, my bad. There we go. There we go. Alright, now I can say there we go. We're going to give it a description that it will show, and once we get the UI elements set up. is just going to be our icon placeholder that we stored up top. Now, for the others, for the ether and the sword, we're actually just going to be able to copy these right here and paste it, and then we're going to just type over it. So this is going to say ether, and then we can just copy that word there and put that here. And then here, instead of potion small, it's going to be ether small. We're going to say ether s restores a small amount of MP. There's that one. Now, this last one is going to be our non-stackable item to show that. And it's going to be called, it's going to be of type sword, right? And we're going to say sword, whoops. Let's just copy this, paste that all down here. And this, instead of being potion small, it's going to be a bronze sword. And then it's going to display name bronze sword. And description, a basic sword, reliable and light. There we go. So, like I said, this is going to be our first non-stackable item. The key difference is going to be this single line here, sword.stackable, and we're going to say false. So the way the code's written is that by default, it's going to assume that it's stackable. And so we have to tell it when an item is not stackable so that it knows only to add the one thing. And so if we collect a second bronze sword later on, it'll add a bronze sword to a second individual slot. Next thing is that we're gonna start building the database, and so what that's going to look like is we're gonna say item underscore database is equal to the potion dot ID, which is going to be the potion, ether dot, well, not either, ether dot ID, which is going to be the ether, and then the sword dot ID, which is going to be the sword. And what we're going to say next is inventory dot add underscore item potion. And then we're just going to copy this, paste it a couple more times, and instead of being potion, this will be ether, and we'll set that to 3, and then this one will be the sword. There we go. So what we have finally in this is we're going to save all the items in the database. So as you add items, you're going to need to increase this, right? When you add them, but it'll make it super easy to look up the items later on using only your ID. For example, potion small will give us the full potion object, right? And then here we added the test items into the inventory here, which are these guys here, right here, right? So we're defining our inventories here, our items here, but then we're actually going to add them here as a test. 5 potions, 3 ethers, and 1 sword, just to verify everything works when we finally hook everything up to the UI. from here, what do I want to do next? Not well, but what do we need to do next? Let me go to my script and see. I think next is going to be the inventory slot scene that we got to build. We're going to build the slots and then the UI, code both of those, and then we got to code the controller. But this is already at 10 minutes, and the last video was combined almost 40 minutes. But hopefully remember to split it. Anyways, I'll see you guys in the next video.